This is
Hi.
Amber Anderson over in online learning, and I am with Carolyn Speer this morning to talk about getting ready for our finals. So Carolyn, can you introduce yourself and talk about your office and what all you do to help students out?
Sure. So, hi.
Hi.
My name is Carolyn Speer. I'm the director of the Office of Instructional Resources at Wichita State University. Primarily, our office is a faculty support office. We are the office that helps instructors learn how to use Blackboard, among other things. But we also answer the level 3 and above help tickets for Blackboard support. So for students who put in a ticket, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and say this now, but we'll say it again later. If you put in a ticket or what they call a case at wichita.edu/BB support, then many of those are solved by Blackboard themselves for level 1 and level 2, but the more complicated or more difficult ones come back to this office, and someone in this office solves those tickets. So we see a lot of tickets during finals, and I have a good sense of what can go wrong.
Okay, so my question would be, when do students do that? Should they reach out to their instructor first, or?
Okay, so imagine I'm a student and I've done things. All semester I've been in Blackboard or Panopto. I've been using these tools. Now I need to take a test and something goes wrong. The first step is always to email your instructor and to tell them what's going on. Do that right away so that you're documenting it in time that this happened in case you do miss a due date because of some technical problems. The second thing to do, and you can do this while you wait for your instructor to get back to you. During the week, your instructor may well have said how long it takes for them to get back to you, but during the week, I would give them at least 24 hours because, of course, you know, as immediate as we would like everyone to be, people aren't necessarily on their computer 24 hours a day. So giving them a little bit of time to see the email and be able to respond, give them about a day. But during that day, you can also go to wichita.edu/BB support and put in a help ticket. And it may be that somebody, whether at Blackboard or in this office, can actually help you. And you may get the whole issue resolved before your instructor gets back, but that will also document the problem and the time that you had the problem. So if your instructor asks for that documentation later, you can provide it. Those tickets last forever. We have those ticket numbers listed in the system forever. We can always pull those out. Did that answer your question, Amber?
It did. I'm going to unmute so we can talk.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So yes, that's helpful. Can we talk a little bit about proctoring tests and issues that might arise there and how to fix those if they do?
Sure. So if you are for students who are taking tests in the Blackboard environment, it's possible that a test might not be proctored at all. That happens. So you hear a lot about proctoring, but if you don't have a proctor, don't worry. Your instructor is the one who's setting that up. There are a couple of proctoring options at Wichita State right now. One of them is through ProctorU. That's something that your instructor is going to have to set up a piece of that. And you as a student are going to have to set up a piece for that. And the piece of advice that I have for that is to do that as soon as you can, because that is a cost to students. And the sooner in advance that you do it, the longer wait time you have between when you set it up, when you take the test, the less expensive the test is. So it's important to do that as soon as you can and not put it off to the last minute. But you can put it off to the last minute if something comes up and suddenly you need to change it, move your time, or you suddenly become free and you want to take your exam right now. ProctorU does have that flexibility to allow that pretty immediate turnaround. But most exams are proctored at Wichita State in the Blackboard environment. They're proctored through Respondus Lockdown Browser or Respondus Lockdown Browser with Monitor. So those are two separate things. And we do see in this office some problems with that. So the biggest problem that we see with Respondus Lockdown Browser is students know to go and download it, right? You can go to our website and you can download Respondus Lockdown Browser for Mac, for PC, for your iPad. You can even get it for Chromebook. So they know to do that in advance, but then many students seem to think that that's just going to turn on when you take a test, and that's not the case. In order to take a test that requires Respondus Lockdown Browser, you need to actually go to your applications and find Respondus Lockdown Browser and start it up and use it to go to Blackboard. It is actually a browser like Chrome or Safari or Firefox, but it's Respondus. And its only purpose is to go to Blackboard and to take tests. That's its job. If you see in a test on Blackboard that it is a Respondus Lockdown Browser test, and you're going to take it and it prompts you for a password, the first thing to think is, ooh, did I start up Respondus? Because there is a kind of a secret password. You don't see it as a student, but the system will provide it to the browser directly, and you won't see that step if you're in the right application to take your test. If you are using Respondus Lockdown Browser with Monitor, all of that applies, but also Monitor does require you to have a camera and a microphone, and it is going to take a recording of you taking the exam. So you need to make sure that you've done that ahead of time and just practice with it a little bit so that you know how to make it work.
And not all classes require that, and you can probably figure that out in the syllabus. The teacher will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But while we're talking about browsers for Blackboard, what are your favorite browsers? Because I've had times before when I've logged on to a class on one browser and then logged onto the same class on another browser, and some things disappear or look different. So what is your recommendation for our students?
So one thing to know about browsers is they're always in motion. A browser is never just something that you know about at one point in time. If you imagine, you might say, oh, I like Coke better than Pepsi, and Coke is always the same, and Pepsi is always the same. So when people ask us what are our best browsers, it's not a Coke and Pepsi situation, because those are always kind of moving. But there are some browsers which work better with Blackboard and some that don't work well with Blackboard. So, and that's just generally the case. Any Microsoft browser, Microsoft Edge, if you're still using Internet Explorer, those browsers do not work well for Blackboard, and we would recommend that students do not use them, not use any Microsoft browser to go to Blackboard. So that leaves, if you have a Mac, Safari, which is a perfectly good browser for Blackboard, Chrome, and Firefox. Those are our three. Yeah. Well, so say for example, you love Firefox and you always use Firefox. So you fire it up, it's not a Respondus test, so you're going off to Blackboard to do something, and something goes wrong. You don't see something you expect to see, something isn't acting correctly.
Yeah. At
this point, before you reach out to your instructor, before you put in a case or a ticket with Blackboard, that wichita.edu/bb support, before you do that, the first thing to do is to just change browsers. So even if Firefox has always worked for you, because like I said, it's not a Coke and Pepsi situation. Firefox may have worked great yesterday, but today, because technology has advanced, Firefox might not be working really well today.
Okay.
So switch over to Chrome and see if it works in Chrome, or vice versa. That's a great first step. And then if it's still broken, now it's time to reach out to your instructor, put in a ticket.
Okay, good tips to know. Thank you so much, Carolyn.
Absolutely, I'm happy to
ask you more things in the future.
Well, good luck on finals, everybody. And remember, take a breath. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.